A burst of static echoes as the televised forum blinks to life. Washington, D.C.'s skyline gleams behind the sleek glass auditorium, where rows of suited politicians, advisors, and interns shift in their seats beneath the sharp bite of studio lights. There is no applause as the panelists take their places, just the brittle sound of quiet tension. Karoline Leavitt, young, polished, and self-assured, adjusts the collar of her blazer with practiced confidence. Her lips curve into a half-smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Across from her sits Captain Ibrahim Traoré, calm, composed, unmoved. His military attire bears no medals or pomp, only a worn leather band around his wrist, a silent reminder of battles fought far from this carpeted stage. He carries no arrogance, just an aura of unshakable stillness. The moderator launches into the topic of global partnerships and immigration policy, prompting Karoline to speak first. She wastes no time. Her tone is light, almost mocking, but her words cut. Maybe if people like you stopped leeching off the West and went back to Africa, we wouldn't be so divided. The room freezes. There's no gasp, only the uncomfortable shuffle of feet and lowered eyes. Even the cameras hesitate, unsure whether to linger on her smug expression or Traoré's impassive face. He doesn't flinch. His eyes remain locked. On hers, steady and unreadable. The moderator stammers, caught between professionalism and disbelief. No one moves. In that prolonged silence, something ancient stirs, an undercurrent of centuries of indignity, of voices silenced beneath polite decorum. Then Traoré speaks. I came here in peace, Ms. Leavitt, but peace is often mistaken for permission. His voice is low, but every syllable lands like the echo of iron striking stone. The audience doesn't applaud. It doesn't need to. The words linger heavier than thunder. Karoline's expression shifts, barely, a twitch of her jaw, a blink too slow. A silent admission that she didn't expect resistance, certainly not delivered with grace. Days pass. The video circulates faster than any press release. Yet, reactions are not uniform. Some corners of the country praise her brazenness, others recoil. But in the footage, it isn't just her insult that haunts viewers. It's his silence. That haunting calm, that stare unblinking. The media begins revisiting Traoré's background, not the military highlights, the quieter things. Childhood in Burkina Faso. His rise through rebel-led turmoil. His refusal to retaliate during a coup. A general who refused to kill civilians, who insisted on negotiations when his men were ready to fire. Karoline, on the other hand, begins to unravel in public view, not loudly, not yet, but in invisible ways. Leaked staff memos show her panicking behind the scenes, blaming poor debate prep, questioning why no one warned her about him. A fundraiser, an elderly donor leans in and whispers, "You made it personal, Karoline. That's where you lost the room." Reporters begin to dig deeper. A young black congressional aide anonymously tells a story of being locked out of an elevator, while Karoline smirked. An internal affairs officer remembers an ignored letter about racially charged jokes at a campaign event. Piece by piece, a portrait forms, not of outright violence, but of the quieter, insidious racism woven into corridors of power. Traoré, meanwhile, speaks little. When questioned, he redirects attention to his diplomatic work. This moment is not about me. It is about the country choosing what reflection it wants to see. His restraint is a mirror, and those who look into it see what they've hidden from. A week after the forum, Karoline appears on a conservative talk show. The host, nervous, asks if she regrets her words. "It was a joke. People are too sensitive," she replies, but her voice falters. Her polished mask slips, if only slightly. A split-second glance at the camera betrays something else, an awareness that the tide is shifting. Young conservatives distance themselves. Faith leaders pen open letters. Veterans who served alongside African forces post photos of their comrades, captioned simply, "Brothers in Arms." On a quiet Sunday, a video emerges. Traoré visiting a war cemetery, no media. Just him and rows of forgotten names. In a later interview, he reflects, "Some of those buried here fought for countries that never accepted them." His voice doesn't tremble, it simply resonates. Pressure builds. Congress calls for a special hearing on the rhetoric used by political figures during national broadcasts. A symbolic gesture, perhaps, but one that draws every eye back to Karoline. Traoré is invited to testify, not as a victim, but as a statesman. The hearing room is packed. Cameras roll. The air is saturated with anticipation. He enters without fanfare, his presence enough. Karoline, flanked by aides, looks smaller somehow, her signature red blazer suddenly loud in the beige decor. The chairman welcomes him. "Captain Traoré, thank you for joining us." He nods once and begins. "My name is Ibrahim Traoré. I was born in the Sahel. I fought in a war where no one came to help us. I now work with the UN to prevent what I witnessed from repeating elsewhere. I believed America to be a partner in peace. That belief remains despite what I heard last week." Karoline interjects. "With all due respect, we're not here to discuss personal feelings." She tries to sound firm, but her voice catches. He turns toward her slowly, not with malice, but with clarity. "What you call feelings, Ms. Leavitt, others call identity, safety, dignity. Your words were not just unkind, they were un-American." A hushed reaction ripples through the room. The moderator does not interrupt. Traoré continues, his voice calm. "If a guest in your home is insulted, what does that say of the host?" He does not raise his voice, yet Karoline visibly recoils. She reaches for a rebuttal, but her usual fire is gone. Her arguments sound rehearsed, hollow. He ends, with no grand flourish, only reflection. "I do not need an apology. I need your nation to remember itself." The session adjourns. The silence that follows is louder than applause. Karoline exits quickly, avoiding questions. Her staff surrounds her like a crumbling wall. Outside, protesters gather, not to scream, but to hold signs that say, "Dignity is power," and we heard him. Her dissent is not explosive, it is a quiet unraveling. TV invitations dry up. Her campaign manager resigns, donors pull support. Her next rally sees rows of empty chairs. Even allies begin to ghost her. In her home, she sits alone at a kitchen counter, phone dim, inbox empty. She replays the forum video, not to understand what went wrong, but to try to reclaim the feeling of certainty she once had. It never returns. Meanwhile, Traoré receives an invitation from a community school in Atlanta. He speaks to children, seated in a circle on the floor. "What do we do when someone is mean?" a girl asks. He smiles gently. "We don't become them." No cameras are present. The footage that does surface is grainy and sincere, shot by a teacher who couldn't believe what she was witnessing. At night, Karoline scrolls through anonymous hate messages now targeting her. She's shocked to realize her once loyal base turned the same rage inward. She stares at her reflection and sees for the first time that the fortress she built was made of mirrors. Across the country, a ripple begins. School boards review diversity programs. A city council in Ohio passes a measure to rename a bridge after a West African peacekeeper. Traoré returns to Burkina Faso to oversee a diplomatic exchange program. In a parting press conference, he says only this: "Justice is not vengeance. It is memory without hate." In the final scene, we see Karoline alone at a local cafe, no entourage. Just her and a newspaper featuring Traoré on the cover beneath the headline, "The Voice That Changed the Room." She reads the article in silence, her coffee untouched. A waitress asks, "Do you need anything else, ma'am?" Karoline shakes her head. "No, nothing I need." The story ends not with cheers, but with echoes. In homes, schools, and quiet corners of America, his words are remembered not because they were loud, but because they left no room for denial. And in the long silence that follows humiliation, some begin to listen for the first time.